Chris Paul coming to the Golden State Warriors is an experiment doomed to fail. Chris Paul as a Warrior is a disgusting thought. Chris Paul is a locker room judge whose presence will poison the Golden State Warriors. Why would the Golden State Warriors trade 24-year-old Jordan Poole, who helped them win the championship last year, for a player whose body won't cooperate, who has an aggressive past with Draymond Green, and who is known for being a locker room judge?
Hold your sugar-free lemonade. Sean Livingston has an explanation. Warriors face Suns on NBA opening night. Kevin Durant of the Suns and Chris Paul of the Warriors meet their former teams. The Warriors will open their season in the national spotlight, as they have so many times in the past decade. According to league insider Shams Charania, they will host the Phoenix Suns in the second game of the NBA's opening night on October 24th. It will be Kevin Durant's first game in front of Bay Area fans since he left the Golden State Warriors in the summer of 2019. Since then, he has only played once at Chase Center, in front of an empty arena in 2021. It will also be the first time Chris Paul has appeared in a regular season game in a Golden State Warriors jersey. He will face his former teammates after being traded to Washington for Bradley Beal and then dealt to the Golden State Warriors for a package with Jordan Poole. Coach Steve Kerr's starting lineup will be of particular interest to observers, as Paul has never come off the bench in his 18 years in the regular season or playoffs, but the Golden State Warriors starting lineup from last season, the league's best 5 by net rating, remains unchanged, led by Stephen Curry. The NBA game will be televised on TNT following the reigning champion Nuggets opening game against the Lakers, who knocked off the Golden State Warriors in the second round of last season's playoffs. There was a memorable moment at the start of last season's game between Phoenix and Golden State Warriors when Klay Thompson was sent off after berating Devin Booker and reminding him that Thompson had 4 championship rings, despite the Golden State Warriors star struggling to shoot and Booker scoring 34 points. The rematch against the shooting guard, however, could be less fiery. Earlier this week, Thompson addressed the incident in a podcast with Clippers star Paul George. Book worked his ass off that day. I wasn't where I was supposed to be. God, things don't age well, and that didn't age me well. I don't need 4 rings. We're all insecure sometimes. I'm man enough to admit that we all have our moments of weakness. I'm not really proud of that. The game will also feature a reunion with Damian Lee, former Warrior and brother-in-law of Stephen Curry. The rest of the Golden State Warriors game schedule will likely be released later next week. How Livingston sees the partnership between CP3 and the Golden State Warriors originally appeared on NBC Sports Bay Area. It brings in another person who is trusted, who can speak and is respected, Livingston told NBC Sports Bay Area. And Chris Paul can still make it. Maybe at a slower pace, but that's the way it is in the playoffs. I think they're going to benefit from that if they can stay healthy. Livingston can best explain why the Golden State Warriors would dare to sign Chris Paul, their longtime nemesis. He's already been where CP3 is going. When the Golden State Warriors were looking for an experienced point guard to play behind Stephen Curry in the summer of 2014, their choice was Livingston. Signing Livingston came with some risk because of his injury history. Those concerns are also expressed by observers who question Golden State's decision to sign Chris Paul. Livingston's health and playing time have been carefully monitored. He averaged 73.4 games per season and 17.5 minutes per game. Paul's numbers won't be significantly different. While Stephen Curry is a peripatetic point guard who uses constant movement to exploit defenses, Livingston was very deliberate, whether he was scanning the floor for teammates or controlling his own shot. We were actually very opposite, Livingston said. Opposites? The same can be said about Stephen Curry and Chris Paul. Many who worry about CP3's compatibility with the Golden State Warriors point to his determined but ponderous style of play as one of the reasons. But history shows that the Stephen Curry-Livingston team was very effective at point guard. During Livingston's 5-year tenure with Golden State, the franchise reached its zenith and made 5 straight NBA Finals appearances, winning 3 of them. While Stephen Curry generally alternated between pick-and-roll and off-ball movement, often resulting in open three-pointers, the 6'5" Livingston often looked for mismatches to exploit by making comfortable mid-range jump shots. Stephen Curry shot 3,632 threes in those 5 seasons. Livingston shot 24. Exactly as Coach Steve Kerr would have written it, and not much different than what you'd expect from the Stephen Curry-Paul tag team. Both Kurt and Stephen Curry have cited Paul's ability to create new dimensions as a factor that makes him attractive. Different styles give an offense greater range and scope. When you look at our teams that have won away from home, and I'm talking about winning away from home, which you have to do in the playoffs, you have to be able to get stops. Period, said Livingston. But you also need some diversity in your offense. Our teams had that. Of course, we had that with Kevin Durant. But even with the teams that were there before him, we had other ways to score. Chris Paul brings that with him. He's another playmaker and someone you can rely on in crunch time. Chris Paul is a one-year experiment in this NBA season that will be measured by where the Golden State Warriors end up. It's a failure if they go home in mid-May, a success if they play into June. He was hired to play in the regular season and shine in the postseason. He's still a clutch performer in the fourth quarter, Livingston said. Nobody runs fast breaks in the last 2 minutes. You rarely see that. Just get him there. Livingston can draw parallels between his experiences with Golden State and those awaiting Paul. He can also see the potential upside, which is why he believes CP3 can and will be good for the team. But that doesn't mean Livingston is blind to potential dangers. That would be in the locker room, which belongs primarily to Stephen Curry and Green, who take opposite approaches. Chris Paul and Green are more alike than not. The key is that Draymond and CP can coexist, Livingston said. Both are dominant personalities. Both are leaders in their own way. Both are very proud players with big egos. They have exceeded their potential and expectations. Can they coexist in a locker room? That's the difference between the reserved Livingston and the effervescent Chris Paul. Kerr and Stephen Curry will have to keep their antennae up. The professionalism of Green and Chris Paul will be needed full-time. The basketball part? The Golden State Warriors found success not too long ago with a similar backcourt design. That should be the least of their worries. Lakers star believes Golden State Warriors' acquisition of Chris Paul was fortuitous and weird. Austin Reeves has not only been part of a major transaction this NBA offseason, but the Los Angeles Lakers guard has also been keeping an eye on other moves around the league, particularly Chris Paul, who surprisingly landed with the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, that was a fluke, Reeves said. My brother and I had a kids' camp at home, a basketball camp, and one of the coaches that was there ran through the gym and told me. And I said, "You're probably watching the wrong thing." I think there's something like Buttcrack Sports or something that always puts out wrong things, but he said, "No, so, I don't know, that was weird." Reeves re-signed with the Lakers, while Paul was acquired from the rival Golden State Warriors in a trade that saw Jordan Poole go to the Washington Wizards. Paul had previously been traded to Washington in the offseason from the Phoenix Suns in a package with Bradley Beal. The 25-year-old Reeves now knows he'll face a different kind of test from the Golden State Warriors, who were eliminated by the Lakers in the second round of the playoffs last season. Paul could be used off the bench at Golden State, but a report says the 12-time All-Star has hopes of being a regular. Reeves said he believes Chris Paul and Golden State Warriors superstar Stephen Curry will be able to play together successfully. "I think they can do it because I think they're both very unselfish guys who just want to win," Reeves said. Chris Paul's move to Golden State Warriors was unexpected not only because of the timing, but also because Chris Paul has been a fierce rival to the Golden State Warriors during his 18-year NBA career, most notably with the Houston Rockets. He recently called his Rockets team of the 2017-18 season, which the Golden State Warriors denied a trip to the NBA Finals, perhaps the best he ever played on. Earlier this season, there were rumors that Chris Paul could join the Lakers and his friend LeBron James. One report said that the point guard was part of their plan A this season. Reeves was also a key part of the Lakers' offseason plans to remain a title contender after defeating the eventual NBA champion Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. Los Angeles re-signed D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura and added Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish, Taurean Prince and Jackson Hayes, while James confirmed that he is indeed available for a 21st season. Chris Paul will now have to try again to win his first NBA title, with Reeves, James, and the rest of the Lakers possibly standing in his way. If you're a die-hard Golden State Warriors fan like me, there's always something to talk about when it comes to this team. Be sure to visit the community page of our channel, GSW Daily, where you'll find various quizzes and polls about the Golden State Warriors to test your knowledge. Also, check out our other videos on different aspects of the team.